good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Global Business Insights podcast. I'm joined once again by my partner in crime, Charlotte de Brabandt. Welcome, Charlotte.
Hi, Max. As always, great to be back.
Absolutely. Great to have you once more. Episode 10 of our Hyper Leadership series. This is the last episode of this series. Been fantastic actually learning about hyper leadership and talking about it more in general. It's been a real sort of awakening for me learning about it. I hope everyone that's listening to this has felt the same. There's been a lot of it in hyper leadership that I've felt is stuff that I'm already doing, stuff that I already know, but actually bringing it together into what this actually is in terms of a new style of leadership that is going to really drive results in 2026. Fantastic. So I'm really pleased we're putting out this information, and I think it will really help people. So this episode's about the evolving role of leaders. We're looking at that role in data-driven and more autonomous type enterprises. I'm going to jump straight into question one, Charlotte. So how is leadership changing then as organisations become inherently more data-driven, more autonomous? I think a lot of organisations are doing that. How does leadership change?
Well, leaders are shifting from being operators to being architects, I think, as systems automate execution. Leadership, it really focuses on design. And with design comes setting purpose, values, and decision logic. So hyper leaders, they shape the system rather than just micromanage it.
Okay, so clearly they can't outsource and automate all of their decisions because that's why they're in the role as leaders, and they're still working with humans. So they still need to guide and lead things along. So what decisions do you think are the ones that need to remain human?
Well, definitely purpose, being purposeful, ethics, and trade-off. Altogether, data, they say data is king. Data can inform choices, but it cannot really define what truly matters. And those decisions require human judgment and human accountability.
So do you think data and having the right data actually changes authority at all?
Authority, increasingly, it comes from evidence rather than opinion. However, there's room for interpretation, and interpretation still matters. Data doesn't speak for itself. So leaders, they need to provide the context, the meaning, and ultimately the accountability.
Okay, so leaders coming into this kind of a role, there's autonomous systems all around them. What skills then become critical for them to have?
I would say definitely systematic thinking, so system thinking, ethical reasoning, and very important, the ability to translate this whole complexity into clarity, clear KPIs, clear goals, clear communication for the team. And hyper leaders, they really must understand how parts interact, not just how they perform individually.
I can see with this that there will be some of the older leaders, and it's amazing where we've spoken about some of the others, in the past we've had on the podcast. It doesn't really matter what age they are. If they're in a servant leader mindset and the sort of what hyper leadership really has been, it's not an age-based thing. It's just whether they understand how this works or not. So if a leader isn't able to embrace that and they don't evolve, what risks do they face?
Well, definitely the whole notion of irrelevance. Leaders who cling to control in automated environments, they really slow the system down and lose credibility.
So what then ultimately defines what you'd class as a hyper leader in this sort of future state?
Good question. So altogether, someone who provides direction, who provides meaning, responsibility, while also enabling machines and people to execute at scale. So, always with AI evolving, we always need to remember not to just rely on the answers from AI, but using AI as an enabler to make your decisions or open certain doors or give you another judgment or feedback, but not ultimately let them make the whole decision.
Yeah, I think that's all part of it. Correct use of AI, AI and AI support can be fantastic. Can be a real extension of your brain, if you like, to actually really enhance what you're doing. But I think the right leaders don't actually outsource their thinking to AI. They still retain that level of experience where they are the knowledge and experience that makes the difference, and AI is used to facilitate that and do some of the work, but it doesn't make the decisions. So I think that's key to it. If you were to define a hyper leader for the future in its entirety, what does that person look like, do you think?
Very good question. I think a leader who has clear self-judgment,
Yeah.
and who has maybe use cases how they've inspired other teams, having teammates that have followed them, that have been with them for a long time, where they really managed to be that servant leader, building trust within the teams, helping the team thrive, become better than they can ever imagine themselves to be, and really setting that example, listening to the talents, defining the roles, giving them projects that are passionate to certain talents. So there are still many leaders that are not willing to go that path yet. But I think with this whole generational shift and understanding the different cultures, leaders need to start looking at it differently. Really, instead of just climbing the ladder and with titles, they need to embrace that there are different generations, and they will stay at the company if they are heard, if they are seen, if they are creating meaningful impact.
Fantastic. Thank you, Charlotte. That is the last question of the last episode of our Series 8 on hyper leadership. I hope you've all enjoyed this series. It's been fantastic having you on once again, Charlotte. Hope all our listeners have enjoyed this series. Next series is all about my new book, Don't Shout at the Vegetables. I can't wait to talk to you all more about that. Charlotte's going to be asking me lots of questions about the book, and we're going to get deeper into the themes on that. Can't wait to see you all on that. That's Series 9 of the Global Business Insights podcast. See you all again soon.